If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
And today's episode is about 36 minutes long. We start out with mystery underwear. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle, a little leftover from the night before. We found out who it is. Find out in this episode.
It smelled familiar.
Yeah, you smelled that one. And then we move into the many benefits of the red light. We are sponsored by Joovv, and that's Joovv.com. So it's JOOVV.com /mindpump. Maps Prime with purchase of 500 or more and free shipping. Oh, that's a fantastic deal. And then we move right into the Organifi talk. Yeah, Organifi, they're one of our best sponsors. They have the Clear product now, and that's a nootropic, and it's a really excellent product. We all got to try it out. And Justin talks about the gold pumpkin spice, and he tried that with his wife. Was very impressed by the flavor and the texture, and it's a really good product. Then we move into the fitness study, and this is where Sal was talking about exercising. If you don't do exercising, it's pretty much like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Pretty crazy study. You should look into it. Well, worse than it, yes. And then I'm done. That was all I got.
All right, I'll go. Then we get into the Guinness Book of World Records. Justin's trying to come up with a way for us to be in the world.
Can we do this
book.
I really do want to do this, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we should do it.
Yeah.
I do want to mention we are sponsored by Organifi. Now, Justin did just talk about, that was his voice, not mine, the Gold Juice Pumpkin Spice. Drink this at night.
Winning.
Relaxes your body. Tastes amazing. Might make you horny, or maybe not, but I think that's what Justin said happened with him and his wife.
Yeah.
If you go to Organifi.com
Randy.
Mind Pump and use the code Mind Pump, no space, you get 20% off. Then we talked about Jack LaLanne. He's the man when it comes to fitness. He broke many world records in his 50s. It's kind of crazy. Then we talk about Ford, the car company, and how they're laying off a shit ton of people because of the tariffs. What's a tariff? It's a
Sounds
tax.
terrible.
It's a tax.
Yeah.
Then we get into the questions. The first question was, this person used to not like Renegade Pushups because they misunderstood the intention. You see, Renegade Pushups are an anti-rotational exercise, and we name other movements that have been misrepresented in the past and done improperly as a result.
You're doing it wrong, bro.
That's right. The next question was, do we think foods marketed as low-calorie are contributing to normalizing binge eating behavior? It's binge eating culture. Hashtag. Are they making it worse? Great part in that episode. Great discussion. Then we talk about how young is too young to lift weights. Can 3-year-olds lift weights?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Load them up.
And the final question, what do we think about all these masterminds that are promising to level up your life and 10x your business and make you an influencer and all that stuff?
We're very supportive.
Are the pictures in front of fancy cars and supplements really reflective
Listen,
of how successful?
sometimes you get wrist wraps at the end, so it's worth it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, this month, MAPS Aesthetic, this is our bodybuilder, physique competitor, bikini competitor, aesthetic-focused program. It's on sale, half off, all month long, 50% off. Just go to mapsblack.com. Use the code BLACK50. That's BLACK50, no space. Get 50% off. Also, if you have any questions on our other MAPS programs, just go to mapsfitnessproducts.com.
So I'm almost certain this is Sal, because I don't know anybody else. Because Sal, almost every day the last week or two I've came in here, he's standing in front of the Joovv light, and someone has left a pair of underwear on the ground.
They're not my underwear. They're obviously not my underwear.
You're on this mission right now.
Because there's too much.
They're briefs.
There's too much material.
Yeah. They're briefs. I don't wear boxer briefs. I wear the bikini.
Now,
style.
let me ask you something too. And you brought this up as another additional benefit that I didn't know in terms of like I want to say herpes, but it's like the lips sores.
So I've been doing more research on red light therapy, photomodulation, and reduces the instance of the outbreaks of herpes simplex virus, including the ones that a lot of people have on their mouth, like cold sores. So using that on your, and this is a big deal, because some people
Lots of people have them.
Yeah, they'll get that shit every season, like every winter. It actually reduces that, increases or improves the way mitochondria produces energy, which is everything. If you're talking about longevity and you want to talk about athletic performance, like ATP, for example, that's the main energy the mitochondria uses. That's why creatine makes you stronger. Red light therapy does that as well. Reduces increases the collagen production in skin, which indirectly should reduce the appearance of like wrinkles and fine lines and stuff like that. I've been doing it because we got the new Juve Light. What is it called? Where they gave us all those panels that you can connect.
Modular.
Yeah. So you can make your own like shape or whatever. So we just turned ours into one big, massive panel.
How rad would that be to just have one entire room with all the modules like beaming on you
all around you?
I'm working on doing something with mine at home, and I'm not going to share what it is until I do it, because then everybody's going to fucking bug me.
You're going to wear it like underwear?
No. I have a fucking really cool idea. So
right on the balls.
So that's not your underwear out there, huh?
No, dude. It's one of you guys.
No.
It's not me.
Come on, bro. First of all,
they were mediums, dude.
Yeah.
Really? Who the hell's using our sauna and then taking the underwear
I
off?
got a big butt. Yeah,
You got to talk to fucking XLs. You got to talk to T-Dog.
You think that was Taylor?
Well, I did
Enzo.
see his Did you see his Insta story yesterday?
No.
It was, he Insta storied him doing the Juve Light, and he Insta storied himself doing the sauna.
Dude,
spaghetti.
Taylor, you can't be going naked
Come
in our
on,
sauna,
man.
bro.
Yeah, I don't want your balls on my fucking sauna seat, dude.
No, man.
Not okay with that.
It's funny too
because we're not here.
Yeah, no, you don't want that.
Yeah,
so
no.
I'm going
so
to
you
grab
think
his
it's
ass by his
huh?
man bun.
I'm gonna make a point to come back. And
Now we know what his
catch him in the act.
Now we know what his his underwear brand is like, huh?
Yeah.
It could be Enzo.
Could be.
Could be Enzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Enzo sneaking in there.
Well, okay, so here's the thing,
see
too.
that.
And I catch you doing this. I don't know why, because it penetrates through clothes. It goes through the clothes.
It does, but
You
it's
just
better
take
to
your
go,
shirt off.
It's better to be bare skin.
You feel sexier.
You think so?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It does penetrate through clothes, but if you could be bare skin on it, it's even better. You get more.
This is based off of your theory, or that?
No, this is what I've read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've done my research.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to be.
I mean, it somewhat makes sense, because obviously it's just one less thing that the light has to penetrate through. So.
It does penetrate pretty effectively, though. Like if you're wearing a really thin shirt, a lot of it will get through, but not 100%. Some of it's going to get scattered by the shirt that you're wearing.
Get one of those Right Said Fred shirts.
Well, yeah, because the
remember that?
because the Juve is near far and mid. So if it's near far and mid, like it's the difference between the three of those are the ranges and how deep it penetrates into you. And if it gets all the way into
it's a fucking deep red light. It's not like normal red. Like it's like oh dude, it's if you look at it from across the room, it looks like I'm
it changes the color of everything.
It looks like I'm
Because
about
it's so
to get
red.
like beamed up into a spaceship or something.
well, that's how you can tell too. It's not one of those gimmicky ones that a lot of these companies or
you buy on Amazon. The light,
It's
the
like
light
a bulb.
bulb.
Someone spray painted it.
He
red.
just painted it.
It's just a red light. It's not actual red
Yeah,
light.
you never know what you're gonna get.
That's
These
the hustle,
off-brands.
dude. That's the hustle for sure.
Yeah. Dude, so did you guys end up trying the Organifi Pure? They sent us the samples.
I haven't tried that, and I haven't tried the pumpkin spice yet.
I got to try that last night.
Oh, you
Courtney
did?
and I- yeah, Courtney and I, because
Which one? The
we
pumpkin
love
spice?
we love the gold. It's our absolute favorite. And so now they added the actual pumpkin spice and cloves and all that kind of stuff into the gold juice.
So it's as good or better.
I actually enjoy it more because just the flavor of it. Like I actually enjoy the flavor of that one more. But yeah, we didn't get it all fancy and make it into a tea. Like we've made the gold juice into like a tea sometimes, and I'm actually going to probably do that tonight.
Did you tromp around?
So relaxing.
Did you tromp around in your leggings and Uggs while you drink it?
Oh, because it's this.
I might Instagram that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Like a nice Ugg boots.
Please.
And, a robe
Watch
or something.
Organifi sales go through the roof. If
Yeah.
you get some leggings and
Put
some
it in a
Uggs,
Starbucks cup.
yes, and drink some pumpkin.
Some cozy-
Feeling the fall vibes.
some cozy
what I
pumpkin
mean?
spice.
Yeah, we'll
I-
carve some pumpkins.
I wanted to
with it.
try the Pure, but I forgot to try it yesterday because they didn't even send us like
They sent it in cocaine bags.
It looks like that, right?
We got it. It's true. We got it in the mail. I opened. We asked Organifi, right? Anytime they have a new product, we say, "Hey, could you send it over to us?" So obviously we could try it and talk about it, right? So We tell them to send over the pure, and we
They're
get
just
this,
in clear plastic baggies.
Yeah, they're literally in these tiny, clear little cocaine-looking baggies, and it's white
Okay,
powder.
we're gonna do
It's
this.
like,
Thankfully,
wow.
I got like my pinky nails like really long. You know,
Is that what
Good
that was?
thing.
Is that what that's all about? Sometimes you see someone with long pinky
yeah,
nails.
bro. Come on, of course.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. If you have a,
Sometimes you see just old people like
yeah,
that.
just the one. It's
if
the
you have
pinky.
one pinky nail that's really long,
we know what you're up to.
Yes, dude, you're snorting
Bro,
coke.
I've seen like old people with this, I saw an old Chinese man.
Maybe that's how they get out of bed in the morning. You know?
That's what you think
Oh.
old people don't do cocaine either?
That's what I'm saying.
Really?
Yes.
They're not doing blow.
Why not?
Well,
It's just a bump.
I mean,
Drop the pinky.
unless all of them, like just on the right hand, you know, you could justify that for picking like a guitar.
I thought it was for picking their nose.
No,
Oh.
dude. A long pinky nail
Nasty.
is cocaine bumps, dude.
No way.
100%.
Yes.
Every time?
I'm with Adam, 100%.
Are
I
you
mean,
sure? I'm going to look this
Maybe
up right now.
98% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up
I
right
can't.
now.
I have yet to see another use for it though.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
I mean, you brought up picking your nose, but I mean, that's next level. Like you must have some serious boogers. If you're like,
yeah, man.
I'm
you
gonna
need,
grow
you need like a trowel
Yeah,
tool to
I'm gonna
like,
grow,
get in there.
I'm gonna grow one nail out so I can get these motherfuckers.
I'm going to read it right now, why they think. It says, okay, Coke spoon, that's one of them.
That's
A booger scoop or earwax excavator. That's another one.
Oh, maybe that is the old.
Oh, here we
person
go.
who-
or all three.
Here we go. Yeah, here it goes. Okay, so in the old days in China, long fingernails were a sign that you were rich and didn't do manual labor. And now they grow out the pinky as a sign of culture, breeding, and wealth. See, I knew it. I was an old Chinese man I saw with just one, and there's
But
no
the
way
number
that he was
one
doing
is
cocaine.
for Coke.
No way
one.
he wasn't doing
Number
coke.
one.
Well, a sign of wealth too is if you can afford to have Coke almost every day too. So I think he's doing Coke.
Dang.
It could be both.
That's a fucking Adam. Sometimes you make a
you
point.
know, like,
That's like
it's very compelling.
That's like the
today.
second good point you've made this year.
I'm on fire.
Keep it going, brother. Keep it going.
I'm on fire. It's
blowing
fucking,
up.
It's fucking the end of October and I've got two, huh?
Two, dude. That's fucking two more than last year.
That's a lot.
Last year was zero.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that study I shared in the group text like a few days ago on exercise? What they showed?
Remind me.
They
Remind
were
me.
comparing it to smoking, right? Like in terms of like
Everything's compared to smoking.
Yeah, I know,
now.
right? That's kind of the go-to.
No,
What
no,
were-
no,
what
no.
were they saying?
Dude, I'm going to open this up because here's the crazy thing about the study.
I feel like I read this.
The study showed, and I'm going to read some of the I guess the details of the study. It was a big study.
We need to. You know what we need to do?
What?
I'm petitioning a third thread. I know we have so many damn group threads.
Just a study thread.
Yeah, like one that's for the show.
Mind pump studies.
Yeah, like that. It's content that we want to talk about on the show. Because
That's
then
a
we have
great idea.
because this one has got like, you know,
Yeah, where are you going to find it?
I got it.
You
I got it.
with
Okay.
all, with all the memes
Random
and-
Zick jokes
and
in here,
horrible
everything.
shit.
Don't worry, I saved
Yeah.
it. So
nude pictures of Sal he
know.
sends over to us.
So I just
want
want
to
you
see it this morning.
I just want you guys to let me know my progress. That's all. My
it's
progress
fine.
on my
It's-
nude pictures. You
yeah.
got to see everything.
Did you?
So-
So it's really clearing that stuff up. You
In
had.
a new study that was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, showed that not exercising. You ready for this? Might actually be worse for you.
Oh, I did see that.
Might actually be
I
worse
did
for
read
you
that.
Than smoking.
Than smoking,
See? I knew it.
diabetes, or heart disease. In other words, not exercising may be the worst fucking thing you could do for yourself.
Well, I mean,
Makes sense to me.
obesity is one of the number one killers, right?
It is, but here's the thing with obesity. Lots of people die from poor fitness and health who aren't even obese. There's actually a large minority. It's not a majority, but a large minority of people who are not overweight, who have diabetes or get a heart attack.
Yeah, because their shit's all clogged up inside there.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, to me, that's kind of a no-brainer or a duh, right? Because we've been saying this on the show since we've started this thing. We are and maybe we're not scared yet, but it's a scary time right now where we're becoming very, very fucking sedentary, man. Like,
it's bad.
on another level, to the point where I'm a fitness professional, and this is why I wear my damn tracker all the time, because I'm fucking blown away by how sedentary I can be.
Yep.
You know, and I'm a workout person.
Yeah,
like I could get a workout in the day and still.
Yeah. It doesn't just stop there.
I could still only have 4,000 steps.
Yeah, you're not doing enough if you're sitting the whole rest of the time.
No.
Maybe we need to podcast on treadmills from now on because I feel like, you know what I mean?
Oh, God. And Ben Greenfield. Remember the first time we showed up to
yeah.
Ben's house and we had to
Yeah.
We
stand?
thought he
I
was
know.
crazy.
I'm like, what? Come on, man. I'm working right now. Could I at least sit?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, guy.
So check out the study. So hear me out, right? So researchers at the Cleveland Clinic studied over 122,000 patients. So this was a big study. And they did treadmill testing on these people from 1991 to 2014, and then later on they recorded mortality rates. So 122,000 people treadmill testing. They found that high levels of cardiovascular fitness were directly linked to health and longevity. And what they found was, now this is crazy, being unfit on a treadmill or in an exercise stress test had a worse prognosis as far as death than being hypertensive, being diabetic, or being a current smoker.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So having bad fitness is worse for you than if you smoke all the time, if you have high blood pressure, if you're diabetic. That's fucking insane.
And
That's
yet
crazy.
It's still not the highest on the totem pole in terms of the general public's awareness. Like, look, we need to exercise. I mean, get off your ass.
Now, here's what else they found. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. There was no upper limit of benefits. So what this means is that what they found with these studies,
the more
they exercised regularly,
the better and better.
The better their mortality rates were, the better their health was. How fucking cool is that?
And that's us speaking to mortality, and something that you say a lot on the show, and I really think it's such a great point. It's like, you don't exercise just so you can live longer. Like, that's like just a fucking byproduct.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, you get an extra 10 years of your life. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. The reality of the biggest benefit is improved current life.
Yeah.
And this is something that I was just talking to one of my nephew who's like getting back in really good shape right now, and we're talking about his diet and exercise and all these things, and I'm like, when you will find long-term success is when you stop looking at it as, I feel fat and I want to look a certain way and I want this, because anybody can put their mind to something, resist eating food and exercise like crazy to get to a point. But it's the other things that you need to make the connections to. It's when I'm eating this way and I'm exercising, how are my relationships? How is my sleep? How is my sex drive? How is my performance at work? How is my mood? How are all these other things that we just kind of tend to not think about, or we don't give a lot of value to? We're just like, oh yeah, no, I feel great when I'm exercising. Okay, well, that's really vague. Like, connect the dots to all the things that it really truly does improve your current life. And if you can do that, it's much easier to be motivated to get up and move more and to do stuff, because all those other things that people tend to make as an excuse of why they can't exercise becomes improved.
Right. And it's important. That's a very good point, because it's important to understand that just keeping you longer isn't what exercise does. It keeps you better. It improves the quality of your life. So although you may live 10 years longer, if you're fit and mobile, and people listening right now who are young don't understand this. I used to train a lot of people in advanced age. It's one of my favorite age groups to work in. And loss of mobility and loss of independence dramatically reduces your risk of, dramatically reduces the quality of your life. What is that, Doug?
Doug has got the camera. He's going back to see who the culprit is.
It looks like I see a man bun.
I see a man bun.
It was Taylor.
With no clothes on.
Oh my God.
Have you told him the cameras are on in here?
Nobody knows except us.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, you know what? Taylor doesn't listen to the show consistently, so he probably has no idea.
He has no idea that he's
Never let him know.
Let's see if he tries to deny they're his underwear.
Yeah.
No, those aren't mine.
No, you know what we'll do?
Not mine.
We'll pick them up. Justin, you can grab them.
No.
And and let's hang them
You
over
gotta
the
give me
door.
some tongs.
You know what, though? He doesn't do well with that kind of hazing.
Yeah.
You know what, Adam?
He would have never
We'll
made
just
it
let
into
it
a
be.
fraternity.
Yeah. Why don't you just
No.
give it to him, like side, on the side?
Yeah, just
Hey,
let me,
bro.
She's like, here, man.
I know these are yours. You know what I mean?
we should box
Pretty
him up
sure
as
this
a
is your
present
brand.
and then give it to him.
As a,
Open him up.
Like, how'd you know?
do we know this is your brand?
Yeah.
This guy's caught.
Anyway, back to the study. Thanks for the sidetrack.
Sorry. Sorry.
No.
Squirrel.
No,
Doug just pulled it up. I see a camera. I see a naked man bun walking in our studio.
That's Doug's
It's a little
fault.
distracting.
No. Back to the study. Quality of life is very important. So when you look at the end, your quality of life dramatically reduces towards the end of your life, and exercise dramatically improves it. So yes, you will live longer. You're also going to spend less money on healthcare, which, believe me, will bankrupt the fuck out of you. Look at how much people spend the last 5 years of their life, and improve the quality of life today. And it's a simple thing to do. Of course, it's not easy. You do have to change your lifestyle around it, but just
Yeah, the
move
quality
more.
of your life doesn't have to go down that same path. Like, and you know, if you look at your body and like all your systems and inner workings, is like, I mean, there's just a natural pruning process that happens when you stop doing things and you stop doing certain movements and you become more sedentary. Your body adapts and it wants to then just prioritize only a few things. So now, before you know it, those abilities are gone.
Dude, studies like this are going to they're going to explode the market for fitness. It's going to keep growing. It's already growing.
It has to.
It's going to explode because studies are now showing that, like the study said, which is mind-blowing, that not exercising is worse for you than smoking. And if when people start realizing that this is like a public health issue, that we need to start telling people to move more.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I mean, you saw how like people look at people now that smoke. Like, there's definitely like, I mean, it was effective, like the campaigning and to really like put out there that like what smoking really leads to. And so it's just like, yeah, why would you even do that? It's so stupid.
Well, structured exercise is structured, planned exercise is becoming more and more of a thing because daily life doesn't include any activity.
Well, listen, innovation is awesome and incredible, and we tend to celebrate it all the time, and we don't really tend to discuss the cause,
the byproducts.
Yes, the byproduct of it. So it is so cool now. Did this last night, driving home from the game late, and I Ubered or DoorDashed my food to the house before I got there. So it literally timed it, like when it was we were 20 minutes out. It takes about 20 minutes to get it delivered to the house, and so. But nobody thinks about like that's so convenient for me. That's so awesome. I'm so cool. I'm so glad that we have this tool, but nobody thinks about like what normally would have had to happen there. Mm-hmm. I would have had to get out of my car. I would have had to walk into stand in a line. I would have had to order. Then I had to walk. Sure. Like it would have caused more movement and activity, and we continue to eliminate that, but without thinking like, what do I need to do to counter that? And then on top of that, now I did order something healthy that I had delivered to my house, but very easily it could have been In-N-Out, or it ended up being something that's just a calorie bomb. And so not only am I not getting my ass up and moving to go get that food, but I'm also consuming, an additional amount of calories.
The only way to get strong is through struggle. It's like we're eliminating all the struggle and everything in our lives to make everything. And it seems like it's awesome, but now that's going to be like the new priority. It's like, well, how do we create struggle now that's going to help us?
Well, that's why there's a rise in Spartan.
Yeah.
I mean, we laughed about this while we were up there. Like, that shit would have never happened 15, 20 years ago.
No.
I mean, we would have laughed at that.
Definitely not 50 years ago.
Yeah, definitely not 50. Yeah, maybe 15 was maybe when it began, right? When the internet started to really hit. But before the internet, like, we all would have been like, this is a stupid idea.
You want me to go?
You want me to pay you to go get fucking dirty and run through over obstacles? Like, no, that's cool. I'm cool, bro.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. You guys are familiar with the Guinness Book of World Records?
Of course.
Dude, how many more categories can they create? Is just my question to you guys. Like,
what's the newest?
Well, no, like, so this article I ran across, they're like talking about all these people that broke records for the Guinness Book of World Records, like doing a marathon, and it was all based off of like what costume they were wearing. Like, so
like the furthest you ran,
the furthest anybody's run as Lucille Ball, or like wearing a shit emoji, or like. I'm just like what? Like, why are we giving awards to this? And like, how? Like, I was trying to think in my mind. Okay, we need to do this. Like, we need to create almost like Robin Big did this.
Yes,
right, that one
he
time.
did it with the skateboard thing. We could totally do it for podcasting.
Yes. Let's figure that out and get on Guinness World Records.
The longest podcast,
the most F-bombs in a single.
I think we already have that record. With just the longest podcast.
Like, I'll do it all in like a gorilla suit, and Adam, you figure it out. You wear some kind of banana suit.
Doug's got to look that up. Doug, you got to look up podcast Guinness World Records.
Sal doing all your underwear.
Yeah, the longest episode ever, or something like that.
There might already be some things that we just need to look at it. Then we need to go break them all. That's what Robin Big did. Like, he looked at all of them, and most of them, he's like, oh, I could break that kick.
I could do that.
Kick flips, I could do that all day. I could break that. Like, they went through. I think they did like.
Yeah, it was like 50. Juggling like 3 objects. It's like it's like.
Have you seen the world records for like push-ups? Mm-hmm. Have you seen the push-ups that they do? It's
I'm sure they're ugly.
Yeah, it's like dig. It's like, come on, you really
not even
count
full
that?
extension.
I mean, it's hard. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think there's like thousands of them someone did in a row, but it's not really it's not a push-up.
Yeah.
It's like a little bouncy bounce.
Oh, that's whack.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
That shouldn't count.
Yeah. At one point, Jack LaLanne had the world record for push-ups and pull-ups, 1,000 each.
Wow.
He set it when he was 54.
Dude, 1,000 pull-ups
54.
without a break?
He's the GOAT.
No, it was for time.
Exercise.
Yeah, and
so he would go back and forth
within
back
like
and
an
forth.
hour or something like that.
I don't remember what it was, but it was 1,000 each, and that record stood for
Dude, he swam across the English Channel with like carrying a boat,
Tugboat
like,
with his
tugboat
teeth.
with his teeth.
Yeah, handcuffed.
No, not the English Channel.
Wasn't the English
it was,
Channel?
San
no.
Francisco.
Yeah, it was from
It was the bay.
Alcatraz.
Yeah, it was the bay.
okay.
But it was handcuffed and with his mouth. You know, that guy
You
was
can actually watch that video.
that guy was
Oh
so
my God.
far ahead of his time.
Oh, wow, look at that. The longest podcast ever, 52 hours. We could beat that.
We could beat that.
Oh, it was a
actually.
live stream?
Oh my
Oh,
God,
live?
it's long. 52 hours, Sal?
As long as
So we take turns like
there's three of
sleeping?
us. There's three of us.
Longer than 2 days we had to keep that going. That's
That would
There's three of
suck.
us.
just not sleeping for that.
I mean, that
would
would
be-
suck.
No, one of us goes to sleep. The other two keep going. We just we go around. It's fucking boom.
We
got
could
this.
do that and like bring people
We got
on to keep carrying
That was a
it.
bad one. You got to find other ones, though. That's a terrible one. I don't want to try
I
and
don't
break
wanna
that one.
break
Yeah, let's save that one.
But no, but so Jack LaLanne, he did this when he was for his 70th birthday. He turned 70. He got a boat, 7 little rowboats with 10 people in them. Or it was either 10 boats with 7 people or 7 boats with 10 people. So 70 people. He pulled it from Alcatraz to shore, so to San Francisco Bay, with his teeth, his hands and legs shackled, swimming like a fucking dolphin. At 70 years old, watch the YouTube video. It exists.
Wow.
It's insane.
He's insane.
Jack LaLanne was the most. He's
the man.
Oh,
We know
God,
one of the
so
most
much.
brilliant things that he used to take a page out of, we talk about Eldoa, FRC, and things like that. Like, he was notorious for getting up and moving like every joint in his body.
Yes. Even the silly part. Do you see the wrist warm-ups he used to do?
Yes.
It was so funny watching it, but I'm like, yeah, there's some benefit to that.
Fucking A, there was, dude. I mean, just the way he did things was really, really brilliant. Man was
I saw him.
just definitely a pioneer in our space.
There he is. Look
Yep.
at that. Look at that. Like you can watch all these things. How old was he there when he did that?
It says
one?
1955, right?
Yeah, he did it a bunch of times though.
Oh my God.
This is not the first time this is not the first time he did it. He's done it
Yeah, I
several
thought he
times.
actually did a tugboat.
No, not a tugboat. Rowboats.
Yeah, rowboats.
Jesus, a tugboat.
That's what I thought he did.
No.
Are you sure?
You know, it's funny. This is like the legends that just keep growing.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, exactly.
As we keep telling Yeah. Anyway, we gotta look. We gotta look.
Thankfully,
up
they
all
do have videos of it, so that's pretty rad.
I saw him when he was 90. He got the Lifetime Fitness Award at one of the Arnold Classics I was at. And he goes up to get the award, and the audience is just a standing ovation. They wouldn't stop clapping, so he couldn't talk.
Yeah.
So he moves away from the podium. He's 90 years old, gets down on the floor and does one-arm push-ups.
You know who'd be fun to interview?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
his son or daughter. How old is his kids?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
Look
Yeah,
that
we
up,
should
Doug.
look into
That would be a cool person to interview to talk about what it was like to be the child of Jack LaLanne.
I don't know if would you want to be his kid? That'd be a
I
tough thing to
know.
live
Yeah,
up to.
How do you
You'd be like, I'm a failure. I only did 700 push-ups. You know what I mean? I'm a loser.
Feel so insignificant.
I don't know. I think he made health and fitness kind of fun and cool. I think that if you were a kid of his, you probably picked up a lot of. There you go.
Yeah, he's got 4 kids.
Let's reach
Oh,
out.
okay.
He's got 2 daughters and 2 sons: John LaLanne, Daniel LaLanne, Janet LaLanne, and Yvonne LaLanne.
I would love to look up and see. Let's see who would be the most
He
compelling.
was only 5'6".
Wow.
Yeah, he was a little guy. Doug, can you look up all of the records that Jack LaLanne set? I would like to see, because maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm not wrong about the thing that I said about him being 70 and doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a tugboat, bro.
No, bro. Do you know how hard it would be to pull?
Yeah, very hard. That's what I thought. But you might be right. It might be how the telephone game. You know what I'm saying?
He'd be swimming in
By the
place,
time
bro.
it finally got to
The
me,
legend just gets exaggerated.
He'd be swimming in place with a tugboat. Jesus Christ,
I don't
bro.
know, man.
That's thousands of pounds in the water. That's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Once you get it moving, it would move.
No,
It is in the water.
Yeah.
I bought his juicer a long time ago.
Yeah,
Oh, here we go. Here we
that's
go.
right. He's big and
All right, here we
juicy.
go. Ready? He swam from Alcatraz to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco while wearing handcuffs. At 42, he set the world record for push-ups by doing over 1,000 in 23 minutes. At age 45, he did 1,000 jumping jacks and 1,000 pull-ups in 1 hour and 22 minutes. At age 60, he swam from Alcatraz to Fisherman's Wharf for the second time. This time, he not only wore handcuffs, he towed a 1,000-pound boat. at 60. I was 10 years wrong.
So and
Fuck!
1,000-pound boat. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's not a
Was
tugboat,
that a
though.
That's not a tugboat.
No.
Yeah.
Bro, at 60 years old?
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? This just gives me hope. Like, I haven't hit my peak yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got an 800-pound deadlift in me still. I just got to keep training.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
keep hitting it up.
super impressive.
Yeah. So, do you guys? We'll finish off this little intro with some interesting economic news.
Oh, sweet.
Ford prepares for mass layoffs after losing $1 billion
Oh, really?
to the trade tariffs.
That's too bad.
Yeah, this whole tariff, trade war, which now is affecting the markets big time. I don't know if you guys have been following the stock market, but it's been
That's too bad
been on a
because
downward
Ford
tear.
has been like bulletproof even through the whole bailouts and all that. They were one of the few that didn't need a bailout.
no,
which was
dude.
respectable.
This trade war. First off, China's markets are getting hammered. Our markets are also starting to get hit, but China's are getting hit a little harder. Yeah. So it's going to become this kind of war of attrition. This is what I thought. I think Trump's using this as a way to negotiate with China. Here's the problem. I was having this discussion today with my cousins who are all into investments and stuff. They're like, the trade war sucks and we're losing money, but China's losing more, therefore we're winning. And I try to explain to them, I'm like, that's a communist country. They can hold out as long as they want.
Yeah. Because they don't give a fuck about their people.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they don't have to succumb to political pressures. See, right now, Trump doing this, it's easy to attack him if you're on the left, right? You can attack him for his tariffs and say it's stupid, it's bad business, and we're losing jobs. And if the tariffs start to hit the economy more and more, it could definitely get to the point where a politician will come in and reverse it.
Hey, I was at the game last night and I overheard at the Warriors game these two guys talking about the polls, and I heard that the hours the polls were open are like these weird ass 9 to 4 range. Do you know anything about that?
I have no idea. I don't know. I do absentee ballot, so you can just have it mailed to your house.
Doug, would you look up the times for the election polls and see what?
This is for the midterm elections coming up.
Yeah, and see what it is. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I thought that was fast.
Usually what happens when you have a big sweep from one side, like when Obama first got elected, he was obviously a Democrat in Congress, and the House went to the left also. Then the midterm elections usually goes in the opposing direction. This has happened for the last, I don't know how many presidents, where if the president's a Republican, midterm elections favors the opposite side and vice versa. I actually like that because it's a nice checks and balances, to be honest. If the midterm elections come across this time and the Republicans dominate, this will be crazy. This will be one of the first times it's happened in a long time, and that'll give Trump, it'll embolden the shit out of him.
What do you think is going to happen?
So here's the funny thing. I don't know what to trust anymore because when Trump got elected, almost every poll said that he was going to get obliterated.
Yeah.
So this is kind of weird. It's kind of interesting right now. And the game that the left...
I think a lot of that is because there's a lot of people, I think, that silently support him.
Oh, I think in blue states for
Ghost
sure.
followers.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ghost followers of Trump. I think there's a lot of people that don't want to admit they like a lot of the things that he's doing, because then that means you have to attach yourself to a lot of the stupid shit that he says. And so there's a lot of people that are undercover about it.
see that.
That's the feeling I get.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so for the last, I don't know, 4 presidents or so, midterm elections go in the opposite direction of whoever the president is, or whatever party they belong to. So this would be the first time in a while if it did go to, if the Republicans remained the majority.
If it does, doesn't that show he's going to dominate, right?
Oh my God!
I mean, he could still win even if it goes the other way.
Oh yeah, as a president,
right? That's what I mean.
But if Congress remains, Republican majority, that's going to be a very strong signal. Look, the economy's done pretty well. We've got the tariffs now that are causing some turmoil. Trump is a very divisive, president. He kind of splits people quite a bit, but so did Obama and so did Bush. So I don't know. It'll be pretty interesting. The polls are interesting, man. I don't know how I trust them anymore.
Yeah.
I also saw somewhere.
Last time.
I saw Order of Man did a post, and it was a picture of this huge crowd of people marching towards the border. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
There's this
5,000.
There's this caravan of immigrants from, I think it's from Honduras. Maybe Doug can look it up. Who basically just went through Mexico. They couldn't stop them, and they're on their way to the American border. And so Trump is sending the National Guard over there to stop just this flood of immigrants. It's an interesting situation. I don't think we've ever.
That's what I'm saying. Is it happening right now? Like, where are we at with that?
I don't know. It's weird though. How did they? Here's what trips me out. How are they able to how is these people able to travel so far and feed that means thousands and thousands of people? How are they able to do that?
Over 7,000.
7,000. So somebody's feeding them and kind of, you know what I mean? Like, how did they get through Mexico? I don't know. I don't know
they all
much
have
about
the same idea all at once.
I don't know. I don't know much about this and what's going on. So we'll see what. Yeah, Central American immigrants, and they're just going through. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, it's almost. I mean, it's kind of scary to see what's going to happen with that. Like, how that's all going to play out.
I feel bad for. I don't know what the crowd is made up of. If there's children in there. And stuff.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to see any unnecessary violence or anything. So.
No, and could it turn that way? I mean, when you have 7,000 people,
that's the thing.
If they try to push,
they can't
through,
stop them. It's inevitably that's probably what's going to happen.
I know,
which
right?
Is terrible.
And also, here's another thing. Politically speaking, who's this going to favor?
Yeah.
Is it going to favor the Democrats who are more for more open borders, or is it going to favor the Republicans who are more for closed?
Yeah.
I think if this turns into, it depends on how this results. If this results in a lot of innocent people getting hurt and stuff like that, it could make it look bad for the Republicans. If, on the other hand, they're viewed as being violent or whatever, then maybe it could look better for the Republicans. Depends on the temperature of the country when it happens. So I don't know. Interesting.
This Quah is brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. All right, our first question is from Prime and Glory. I used to hate the Renegade Pushup because I misunderstood its intention as an anti-rotational movement. What other movements have misrepresented intentions?
Okay.
I think what he's just trying to say is, like, there's a lot of exercises out there that even as a trainer, I remember teaching movements and not really
realizing the intent.
Yes, the intent and the real benefits of like what I should be focusing on. And a good example of that, I think we just covered this on a podcast, was the bird dog or the quadruped.
Yes.
Like that was like a staple exercise that I think we were all taught. And like the draw-in maneuver, right? The draw-in maneuver, opposite leg, opposite arm, opposite leg, or the quadruped, whatever you want to call it, was an exercise that we kind of went through the motions, but never really understood. I never really understood how important that movement is, and when you train it with the correct intent, how beneficial it can be. But then also the counter to that, how worthless it can be when not done properly.
Well, and you understand that you see a lot of these movements that started out in its pure form to address a lot of anti-rotation. And check up on that. And I see that all the time, and that's why I get so irritated with these HIIT workouts where they construct like back-to-back-to-back, exercises, and then you do it to fatigue, and it just gets really sloppy and out of hand. I've also seen that with like a shoulder touch out of like an extended plank where people start to rock with it and their whole body turns with it and rotates, where it's supposed to be nice and firm and your hips are not supposed to rotate. And that is part of, the intent of the exercise.
So first let's touch on what anti-rotational movements, what the intention is with an anti-rotational movement. The intention is the movement itself creates force that makes your body, I don't know why I said that, makes your body.
So potty.
Like it with an accent.
Oh, somebody need to go potty.
It's a mushroom party.
Oh my God.
Potty.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, sorry.
It makes your body want to twist and rotate, but your muscles prevent that rotation. Your stability prevents that rotation. And that's an important,
very important
physical skill to have, because there's, especially in sports, but even in moving and walking and running, there are, forces that make your body want to twist, and you have to have muscles that stabilize and prevent your body from twisting.
Yeah.
So that's the intention of anti-rotational movements. But here's a great example. I'll give you a very basic example of movements that are, when the intention is wrong, the movements lose their value. I'll give you a great example. If I take 10 resistance training exercises. Now, the intention of basic resistance training exercises should be to build strength. That's what they do. That's what they do better than anything else.
Yeah.
But if I take 10 resistance training exercises, put them all back to back, and with no rest, and you go from one to the other, I've done cardio. Now I'm doing cardio with resistance training exercises. So those exercises don't do what they're supposed to. Another great example is the way that plyometric exercises tend to get used in programming. Now, plyometric exercises are fantastic if you do them properly to improve your explosive ability, your ability to summon power in a very short period of time. But the way people tend to use them, and the way I see a lot of trainers use them,
fatigue.
Yeah, they just do them over and over again just to make you tired. In which case, it's that the intention's gone.
Irrelevant at that
now
point.
It's just cardio. And so it's important to know what exercises are really good for and to train them with their intention, because you're going to get the most out of them. Otherwise, here's the deal. Why do plyometric exercises if you're just trying to get someone really fatigued? Why not just do something else that's safer? Like, why do anti-rotation exercises if you're not doing them with the intention of preventing your body from rotating? For example, with the Renegade Pushup, the idea is to row the dumbbell and to prevent your body from doing this crazy rotation and twist at the top, what you see with a lot of people.
I got a great one, another great one. That is, we did one of our most viral original YouTube videos, a plank.
Oh, yeah.
How often do you see a plank done incorrectly?
That's right.
And again, defeating the purpose. Like I remember this too. The first time that it was really apparent to me was when we were, I don't know, Justin was with the staff, I think, at this time. So we've got to be in like 2006-ish. And I did like a club-wide plank goal for all the members, all the clients of the trainers. So that was to see who could hold the longest plank. And so everybody had their clients at the end of their workout routines.
Oh, yeah. Melanie and Ronnie really got into that.
Right. You remember that now, right?
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. It was a cool thing. It was great. So for those that are listening that own gyms, this was a really cool thing that I did within my facility. And it was just, we talk a lot about the importance of building culture in a gym. This is a simple thing that you can implement or do. We did this whole club-wide thing, and it became this, and we had a leaderboard. And, it seemed like every week a new client was jumping the next person. Now, the problem was, when I saw it, bird's eye view looking at it, was we had all these people that were just holding their body up for 7 minutes and 8 minutes, but they weren't holding a true, really, really good plank. And then it became like, oh, shit, now how do we judge this for somebody who's holding it like really well, like a really good plank for just 3 or 4 minutes, but then I got this other person who's arching or sticking their butt up, and they're holding it for 6 or 7 minutes, and it was like, so you caution if you do this in your club to make sure that you have parameters around that, because I didn't have parameters. I just assumed that the trainers would be teaching their clients proper form, and then what I ended up seeing was a lot of my trainers weren't holding these clients to these really, really good plank form. So that's it's an incredible exercise that everybody should be doing or implementing into their routines. But I also see it being done wrong most of the time.
And I've actually recently been spending a lot of time around high level strength conditioning coaches, and I'm very impressed with the way that they handle a lot of the intent of the exercises, and that being where they start really reducing the purist mindset of okay, well, say for instance, we're teaching a power clean or a overhead snatch, where, as far as efficiency and being able to really perform the exercise really well, but now getting the desired result of maximal force output out of that movement, maybe I just stick with something that's, not going to take them, it's not going to require quite as much skills, as far as using a barbell, for instance, versus using a trap bar, and getting the same exact explosivity out of it. But now my athlete has that, and it carries over better, and it's less risk on the wrists. It's less risk. So they weigh all these things out in terms of, being able to get maximal effort and output out of the intent of what that exercise is really trying to do, if that makes sense.
How are they training a clean with a trap bar?
So it's it's that same movement and the explosivity out of the drive into the ground.
You're just not cleaning it.
You're just not cleaning it and coming all the way up with it.
Okay, I was so confused when you said that because I'm like, how the fuck are you going to do a clean in the middle of a
Yeah, you would clink.
Because I picture our listeners going like, I'm going to go try that.
Okay, here's a better example.
Yeah.
Like a sandbag, for instance, too. Like something like that, where it's like, it's very midline to the body, and so like your extremities, like the further out you go, obviously the risk goes up. So these are all things that you can sort of weigh in your program.
Now that's a really good one that you just kind of glazed over right there. That I could see. I would have never thought that too if I was training like a young athlete. Instead of trying to teach this young kid whose his proprioception is probably terrible and he's mechanically never done something like this. And the sandbag is far easier to do that because it is closer to your body. It is a smaller object, but you could still perform the same explosive movement as you would do with a barbell clean. That's actually really interesting. I just learned something now that I would have never thought to use that with a kid. That makes
intention
sense.
is everything when it comes to working out. It's absolutely everything. It's like, I give the example of people when they go out for a run and they never run, and so they go out and their intention in their mind is to run until they're exhausted and tired and they can't breathe anymore. And as a result of that, they run terribly and they develop all these bad patterns, and they're, and they get their intention, which is to run till they fatigue. But as a result of their poor intention, they injure themselves. Versus, I'm going to go out and learn how to run properly. That's my intention, and then I can run for much longer periods of time. I can run for months and months and years and not have injuries. So this is true for anything that you do with your workout. Go in there and understand what your intention is. Is the intention of this, and this is, look, our MAPS programs are designed around this. The phases are intentions. We name them phases, but really they're intentions. So, phase 1 of MAPS Anabolic, for example, is strength. Your intention with your workouts for the first 3 weeks of that program is to get stronger. Your intention with the second phase of that program is to build muscle. So the intention changes how you lift weights a little bit. The intention of the third phase of that program is to get a pump. So you change a little bit of how you work out in order to accomplish that objective. And of course, you could break it down to the more narrow, down to the exercises themselves, and understand what the intention of this exercise is. I mean, look, if I'm doing a stabilization exercise or a balance exercise, I'm going to treat it very differently than an exercise that's designed to build endurance and stamina, or one that's designed to build explosiveness, or one that's designed to build lots of strength. The intention is what should drive how you perform the exercise and how you should perform your workout.
Next question is from Phoebes Cray K. Do you think foods marketed as low-calorie are contributing to normalizing binge eating behaviors? Foods such as Halo Top market the calories per whole tub of ice cream, therefore normalizing eating an entire tub. Do you think this is impacting our eating behavior?
That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because I crushed a Halo Top 2 nights ago. So
The whole tub?
Yeah. Well, it's a 320 calorie thing,
Tub.
a pint. It's a pint, and that's
How does that compare to like a Ben and Jerry's pint?
1,500 calories.
there you go.
Now, how's your stomach afterwards, by the way?
Actually, okay on these ones because they make ones that are dairy free.
What?
Yeah, so we have
Coconut milk or whatever?
yeah. So we get
didn't know
there's a
that.
couple different brands. Where, you know, a good place to go is Sprouts.
Okay.
Go there. There's a whole bunch of
And there's 300 calories for the dairy-free version?
Yeah. It ranges. So I get I have a bunch of them, right? So I get I like trying out different ones, like 320 to I think the highest is 480.
Okay.
But all in that range. And with Justin's point, Ben and Jerry's is between 1,300 and 1,500 calories. And so I have two opinions on this. Yes, I do agree that some companies are normalizing binge eating behaviors, and I think that these super highly palatable foods are just as dangerous as anything else, as far as like how you could just start consuming and then you eat 2, then you eat 3, then you eat 4. So, but then I also have what I went through, which is, and so I have a little bit more empathy. Like, okay, you know, I grew up not knowing any better and eating fuck tons of candy And
That's a lot.
Yeah, fuck tons.
That's
I've measured it.
Well, and fuck tons is when you get beyond 10 years of like every day of your life. Like that's when I think it becomes fuck tons, right? Before that, it's just a shitload.
Oh yeah, shitload. Then fuck tons. Is there a precursor to that? Or
just kinda. Like if you just kinda do it, it's not so it's a big deal.
Okay,
but then it goes to a shitload and then a fuck ton.
We need like a ruler with that, so I know.
So I had a fuck ton of ice cream. And candy growing up, and it wasn't until later in my life that I even could even admit that I had this sugar addiction. And I think there's many people in the middle of that spectrum too. So I think I'm again the extreme. I was really bad. I had a ton of it. Then I think there's a lot of people in the middle of that too. And so I know how much having an option like that help someone like me, because I don't ever eat ice cream, hardly ever. And I know I just said I had a Halo Top 2 nights ago, but it would just happen to be because Katrina brought home a few of them in the refrigerator. And what's cool is in my house now, something like that actually can last for weeks in there. And I only will go in there and dip into it when I absolutely feel like I want something like that, or I feel like I've kind of earned it. I'm high on my movement. I trained really good. My calories are pretty low for the day. I deserve to have this treat and I want to enjoy it, so I will. And so that's why I like it. I like it because I am human. I love ice cream. And so I want to be able to have that every once in a while and have balance in my life. And it offers me an option that I can eat without overdoing it with 15, because I could crush a Ben & Jerry's entire pint. But then again, I see the flip,
especially half baked,
of the younger generation that's coming up that is following the IFYM thing, and they're scheduling in all these types of foods, and they're eating all these things that have artificial sweeteners and dyes in them and things like that. And I just think, okay, I don't know if that's a great idea either. If you find yourself consuming this on a regular basis, I think that's where it could definitely lead to poor behaviors and poor relationship with food.
It's interesting that, because what how do you classify binge eating? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean?
There is a classification for that. Just like binge drinking or whatever like that.
Yeah, I think it's maybe Doug. You can look up what is considered binge eating.
Yeah,
what
are the main offenders, like chips and ice cream, and
I think it could be anything.
Pizza.
Yeah, anything that's hyper palatable tends to be.
That's like a super calorie bomb.
Yeah,
waiting to happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's like, why do we eat? The consumption of large quantities of food in a short period of time, typically seen as part of an eating disorder. Well, that doesn't really specify either that much. I think for me, binge eating is when you eat past the point of you're satisfied. When you eat to the point where you're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. At least that's what it is for me.
Which is really tough, though, for the average person to read this.
It is, because I think we haven't been... I almost think we're encouraged to eat this way. I know I was when I was a kid.
Totally.
When I was a kid, the question was, literally, when you ate your dinner and you're done, do you have any more room in your stomach?
So this is why.
You're not super stuffed. I guess you can
this
eat
is
more.
why. This is a really good point that you just reminded me of. This is why I used to make all of my clients weigh, measure, and portion out their food. Not because I wanted them to live in a Tupperware life for the rest of the remainder of their life. It's because I needed to teach them something. And I would get them used to eating these meals and the size that's portioned out for what their body needs. And they're eating out of like a Tupperware or a small bowl or what that, so maybe they don't connect it that well until I would ask them to now pour it onto like a dinner plate and pay attention to the portion size that is keeping you satisfied. I'm having you get to eat every 3 hours. You're eating a nice balanced meal like this. You feel fine. As I've been asking you for the last weeks, are you starving? Are you full? Are you satiated? You're fine. Or some clients are full. Like I've had some clients, I can't eat anymore. It's too much food you're asking me to eat. So once I make that connection and then I show them what that portion size looks like, is you got to become aware of that. You got to become aware of about what my body needs to be, like you're saying, Sal, satiated or full. Because if you rely on them signals that you're talking about, most people have learned to ignore those signals and over-consume.
Well, think about it this way: satisfied, right? What does that mean? I think people confuse the feeling of being full with being satisfied, but it's not. It's not the same thing. Satisfied comes before the feeling of being full. Now, if you start to confuse the two of them, then that's what you start to think is satisfied. Like, oh, I think I can fit more food. Therefore, they do. Like, so what it says here, Doug just pulled up a great site, and it says Binge eating is when you eat lots of quantities of food, often very quickly and to the point of discomfort, a feeling of a loss of control during the binge, experiencing shame, distress, or guilt afterwards, and not regularly using unhealthy compensatory measures to counter the binge eating. So you're not purging, so you're just binging. And I know what this is like, where you literally eat and you feel like you're out of control, and you eat to the point where after you're done, it's uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortably full. Now, do I think marketers are encouraging that? Well, I mean, it's a what is it? What is
sure
it called?
They are.
It's a positive feedback loop, right?
Sure they are. It's the same thing. That's their job, though. We can't be
They
mad.
want you to get through their products.
That's exactly. I mean,
and that's what we want.
The article that I was talking about just the other day with Netflix. I mean, Netflix is doing the same thing with creating movies. They go in with the intention to make it binge worthy. They want you to watch. Now, does that mean that are they thinking about the long term effects of how many kids
Are they malicious in that intent?
Right.
No.
Yeah, they want to make money. That's their intent. So is Halo Top.
That's exactly how I feel, and it's a lot of like us blaming McDonald's and us blaming like certain food groups and companies, and even though they're really the ones like supplying the demand, like the demand is determining these things, and I think that yes, it has potential to be sort of like. If somebody has a propensity towards like binge eating, like this could be another version of that. Like they could just do like the lower calorie version, and then like that condition they never really addressed it. But at the same time, it in terms of it being a lower calorie option, if if you'd rather prefer that versus you're going to go one or the other, it's like a better option.
I've had some success with clients with binge, with like when they binge a lot, just interrupting the process. And so I'll say, okay, make sure you're not watching TV, you're not on your phone. In between, when you take a bite, put your fork down on the table, put your hands on the table, chew your food. When you're ready to get to the next bite, grab your fork, pick it up, put it in the food. And it just slows down and interrupts the process. Yeah. And it sounds silly. It sounds really crazy, but
no, I'm sure that works.
For people who really have an issue with this, it becomes almost this like not fully aware state of mind where at the end of their binging, they're like, oh my God, I just ate a whole box, or I just ate the entire container. And so stopping that process, having them put down the spoon, put down the fork, put their hands on the table, chew, chew, chew. Okay, ready for the next one. And it just makes them aware of what they're doing. Now, a lot of people don't like to do that because part of the reason why we make ourselves unaware is because we want to be. We want to be unaware. We want to indulge in the drug-like effects of this food. And sometimes we don't want to be aware of what we're doing to ourselves. And so when you tell people to slow down, stop, and pay attention, no, I don't want to, because the reality is they don't want to. They really don't
that's
want
where I see a lot of these types of food groups. It's just catering to like, coping. Like this is how I feel good. For some psychological benefit, not for anything nutritionally that they're trying to seek.
And that's why you have to look at it like that. That's why I can see both sides of this, right? Yeah. Because I can also see where this could lead to having them every single night still and justifying it because it's 1,200 calories less. And so I think you're still not addressing the root cause here.
Yeah.
No. But then I also think that, hey, I think it can also be used as a nice treat and a better option. Like if I decide, and this happens all the time for Katrina and I, where we're like, hey, you know what? Like we killed it this week. We crushed work. We worked out 5 times this week. We've been great on the diet and stuff like that. Friday night, let's have a treat, and it's like we're gonna watch a movie and we're gonna have a treat, and it's like something that we've agreed that we're gonna do. Like and of course we try things like the cocoa whip with berries and strawberries and honey and like better treats like that. So those things have really helped me. And I don't know if that's because I'm somebody who battled sugar addiction and now it still allows me to have these things every once in a while, or just flat out, I want to enjoy myself and then I don't want to have to also have 1,500 calories of damage that I just did.
And here's a little hack and a little trick, by the way. If your food is not super hyper palatable most of the time, it doesn't take a whole lot to make you feel like you're eating something really awesome and delicious. Like if you don't eat a lot of sugar, you eat some fruit, that could definitely feel like a dessert. If you eat lots of sugar all the time, fruit's going to taste very bland. So that's another way you can work around that. It's the irony of this, by the way, is the worst bingers I've ever worked with in my entire life worked in fitness. Always, it's almost every single time. People who work in fitness or compete on stage, typically are terrible when it comes to binging. And it's because they do the crazy restriction.
It's the hyper restriction on top of that.
Yeah, the crazy restriction, and then the reins are off. No competition.
The irony
in
is it's really not that crazy, because it's like they have addictive behaviors. And they're addicted to fitness. That's what got them successful. They're addicted that they go to the gym 7 days a week. They can't do anything without getting their workout in. They train like crazy. They starve their body. They do all this crazy cardio. So they're addicted to that. And then they go to the eating, the off season or whatever, and then they're addicted to that. You're just trading one behavior for. We see this all the time with drug addiction, when somebody goes through that and they break through the drug addiction, but now all of a sudden they're addicted to sex, or they're addicted to gambling or something else that detaches them from reality. And it's just that you're not addressing the root cause. So I think that it can be something very detrimental, but I also think that it can be used as a tool, and it's up to us and it's your responsibility. I don't want to point the finger on some company who, their job is to make fucking money. And I think they're doing a great job by supplying something that everybody
a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
yeah, fuck ton.
Next question is from Julia Meg 99. How young is too young to lift weights?
Yeah, when people ask questions like this, you can't really give an answer, because if a child has decent control, then they can lift weights regardless of their age. So my answer usually is there is no age limit. Now, does that mean you're going to see a lot of 5-year-olds lifting weights? Probably not. I don't know very many 5-year-olds that have the stability and control to be able to balance a 1 pound dumbbell above their head, or do squats with good form and all that kind of stuff, or with good stability the whole time. So the answer really is, if the child has good control, if they show some interest, then there really is no age limit, and there is no dangers. By the way, if it's done safely, there is no danger to a child lifting weights.
Yeah, there used to be a myth that you're going to stunt their growth.
Yeah, you're going to damage their growth plates.
I think that still exists, by the way.
It does.
I think a lot of people believe that.
People need to know this.
Well, I mean, yes, if your 7-year-old is snatching 300 pounds over their head, they could potentially do some damage.
The odds that your kid is going to be strong
I'm
enough.
impressed, though. I'm going to be honest. You're 7 years old.
I mean, yeah, if your kid is maxing it, there's some basic general rules here. Like, a majority of your training, they should be stability focused, body weight focused. If you're doing any sort of weights, lifting actual barbells, dumbbells, things like that, it should be light enough that they can do 15 to 20 repetitions. Like
good control.
Yeah, these are really just some general. Yeah, slow. There you go. That's a great one, Sal. You should put more energy and focus on slowing the repetition down than actually the amount of reps. That's even more important. So one of the things I used to do if I had kids, it's like, whether we were doing 5 reps or 15 or 20 reps, it's like getting them to slow the weight down is really, really tough for them to do, because they just haven't developed the proprioception.
It's the most, impressionable part of your development, as far as like solidifying these good recruitment patterns. So that's really where the emphasis, like if I'm coaching like a kid, I want to establish the best mechanics. I want to establish like the best control, so that way, like building on top of that process, like load is literally that is the pinnacle of once you have all of that established in the prerequisites ahead of time. So if your kid looks like they're really getting through that process and they're accelerating in progress, go ahead, like add in some load and do it very, progressively, and do your due diligence with that, and like make sure it's like planned out. But I don't see any problem.
There's a little famous bodybuilder kid that's going around.
Yeah, I know. Have
you seen him?
Yeah, I have.
Is it Little Hercules?
No, that kid, that was a while ago.
No, that was an old one, right?
Yeah.
What's the kid's name?
I don't know what his name is, but he's shredded.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
I just think that there's one thing. I remember Dr. Brett McCabe brought this up, and we were talking about sports, because with kids, for me, I want them to experience as many different types of movement patterns as possible, and that's one of those things where if they can learn their body in so many different dimensions, and there's a lot of carryover to then once they start to specialize and to really hone into that specialization a little bit later in their development. That way that, they don't keep doing these repetitive patterns, because if they start doing these repetitive patterns too early, their career actually ends up being shorter.
Yeah, it's Tristan Lee is his name. Adam.
Yes, that's him.
There he is, right there in the top left.
How old is he, Doug?
15 in that picture.
Oh, he's 15?
Yeah, so that's not super young.
No, he was way younger than that when he started.
It's funny you say that about the repetitive patterns, Justin, because they'll take a kid and they won't even sneeze at having, they won't even look twice at having a 8-year-old kid pitch overhand over and over and over and over and over
There's
again.
only so many pitches
with the same,
in your one arm.
Yeah, with the right arm, but take a 9-year-old and have him start lifting weights with good control and good form, and people freak out. I mean, the truth is, done properly, resistance training is the best form of exercise. It's actually the safest.
You get the most variable movement patterns that you could possibly get.
Now, it has to be done, of course, properly and appropriately. And the thing with kids is this. I've trained a lot of kids, and you get them to hold something above their head or balance a dumbbell or a barbell, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is on them learning their bodies. And then, of course, kids grow fast. And because they grow fast, they never fully get
They have to start over again.
Yeah, their balance and stability is never as good as when they're done growing, and then they can get used to and learn their body.
If in a perfect world, if I was building the most superhuman kid, it would go. He or she would go through gymnastics first, and then move into weight training. Because if the foundation that they'll build in gymnastics is the carryover to that. Who's a great example of that is Salemi.
Yeah.
Salemi is an incredible example of, and look the way he moves. He moves so fluidly, and then when you see the amount of output that he does for his size, I can't think. Can you think of someone that we know personally that's more unassuming than him?
In terms, no, not at all.
No.
Right, of his size and his you would never guess that he would just bury everybody in here in deadlifting, squatting, name it,
whatever.
Name your movement. And he's significantly smaller than all of us.
Yeah, and that all relates to just being able to control the force you produce and also the force you resist. Like both of those things matter, and so it's all in the intent, the control, supporting the joints. Like all that comes with that neuromuscular connection.
You're going to start seeing more structured actual workout programs for kids, I think, in the future. Just because kids don't play anymore. They don't go outside and do stuff anymore. And so it's going to become much more necessary. Look, you go back 60 years, 70 years, a lot of adults weren't working out in gyms because every day was working out. It was your work was very physical. Everything you did was more physical. Gyms became more popular as we became more sedentary and, of course, as we became wealthier. And now children are so sedentary. And it wasn't a problem before. This wasn't an issue for kids up until recently. Like, you never had to tell kids to work out or move. I mean, when I was a kid, if you got in trouble, your mom made you stay inside the house. Today, if kids get in trouble, they make you turn off the electronics and go outside. Yeah. It's been flipped on its head. And so I think we're going to see, it's totally different. I mean, go outside any neighborhood. Go pay attention to how many kids are outside playing. When I was a kid, the neighborhood was like, you couldn't even drive your car down the street because kids had to move out of the way, and it was just crazy. Now it's like my kids sometimes we'll go outside and I'll tell them, hey, go outside, go play a little bit. And they'll come back and like, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's no one. And I look outside and I see nothing. There's nobody out there to play. So it's very different. And I think structured exercise is going to be much more a part of what we're going to have kids do in the future, for sure.
Absolutely.
Next question is from 4 Pillar Life. Thoughts on all the masterminds that promise to level up life and business? The real deal or bullshit?
I like who picked this one.
Who picked this?
This is a nice. We're gonna see a backlash.
You just want to keep getting after these.
Reiterate
because I see them everywhere. The thing is becoming now. If you have a following on a social media platform,
it's a formula, 100%.
Now, once you have a following, the way to make money is to create these masterminds.
It's like
and teach other people to do that.
I feel about it the same way I feel kind of about supplements. If you got the money to throw away and to use them and stuff like that, and it helps create better habits and habits for training and dieting for you, then spending $300 on your supplement stack every week, by all means, go ahead and do it. But don't think that it's the answer, right, for your real results. That's how I feel about the mastermind groups. Like, I think if there's things about it that, because you've invested $10,000 in it, therefore you're going to take the practices that you're learning and apply them, like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah, I just see problems in the fact that I think a lot of it is people perceive it as like a massive shortcut, to become like sort of 10x your business by applying like. When you could like going through the process of it, you learn so much more and you tweak things and individualize things to what really applies to your very specific business. And sure, you're going to be able to learn, I think, from your mentors and peers. And if you need to pay for it, that makes sense to me. But like you could learn so much by, collecting people or like being more involved and being better at networking than just going right to paying for somebody to. Yeah. I just think people have a lot of more hope going into it than they should.
I think most of them are bullshit. I think the vast majority of them are garbage. I think we're in the era of the quote unquote influencer, the person the good looking whoever, or charismatic whoever who has all these people following them. All of a sudden now is giving advice. There's people that I see on social media that will give advice on like sex and relationships, and I know some of these people. Like you should not be giving any advice on shit like this. Yeah. You should be not giving advice on life coaching when you're a fucking 28-year-old who still hasn't figured out your own life. Like I think most of it is bullshit. I think it's just a way, and there's gonna be a backlash soon. At some point, saying that you go to a mastermind or telling people about your mastermind is gonna be like telling people to sign up for your multi-level marketing. Yeah. Remember, that's what it's going to be like.
I agree with that. And the same way it'll still exist because we know that MLM is still extremely popular and there's lots of people that do it and there's still people that actually still swear by it. But I think that's a really good analogy. I think it'll be like that. I think there's going to be pushback on it.
Yeah.
I don't like hating on it because there's got to be some people. I know there are some people that have gone to mastermind groups and it was what they needed, right? It was what they were missing. And I don't know if that's because this person is super unorganized or they had no clue about their direction or whatever, but something was said or delivered in this mastermind group that was what that person needed to hear at that time. And that then translated into them kicking their business up and going. But what I see the majority when you see people tell me they found it beneficial, most of them, if not all of them, will reference the networking of the people that were there. So because you had 5,000 to 10,000 plus, some of these are ridiculous, that you pay for to go to this event, most of the people that can afford to invest in that have somewhat of a business going. And so they have somewhat of a following and network already for themselves. And they have 1,000. So it's common to see people within the 1,000 to 20,000 follower, it ends up paying for these mastermind groups. If you're following, so you've already built somewhat of a network of people, and you're trying to reach that next level for the 6-figure, 7-figure mastermind.
You know what this is, right? Okay, these are small level celebrities. So people with Instagram, they're not like huge celebrities, but they've got followings, and then their fans. What they're doing is they're figuring out a way to maximize the amount of money that they can generate from their fans. Now, rather than selling a product to their fans, what they're selling is come hang out with me and come learn from me. And some of these people will follow. You see someone on Instagram with, 300,000 followers. A few of these 300,000 followers that they have are hardcore fans. Yeah. And you give them the opportunity to spend 10 grand to come hang out with you for a weekend. A lot of people will pay that.
It's the same old archaic business model of the paid wall, right? Like, obviously, they're not giving you enough value then, free wise in terms of like what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis with you. Like, that's why, I don't know, we're taking the opposite approach to that. I give everything away for free and then, base it off of like real products and things people are looking for. But like, I look at that old model as far as like the paid wall, even with certifications, even with like all that stuff is going to get disrupted. Like that's just the old way of doing business.
We've had people approach us and tell us, "Oh, you guys, your fans at Mind Pump. If you guys did a weekend and charged 15 grand, for sure you'd have fans that would come hang out and listen to you guys." And yes, and that might happen, but it doesn't feel right to me. It really doesn't feel right. What kind of value am I providing to that person? And maybe that's not for me to determine. That's for the person spending the money. But
it just has to be like really high value if you're going to charge. It just has to equal it, I think.
I think there are some masterminds where you do get a lot of value.
I do think there
and
are.
You learn a lot. But I think most of them, you're going to go there and they're going to tell you shit and that you could learn for free online. There's really nothing there. And I think maybe like what Adam says, if it gives you a kick in the ass to get your butt moving, then maybe it's worth it. But honestly, they're everywhere. They're exploding all over the place. The reason why they're exploding is because masterminds are teaching people how to create masterminds. So they're leaving these masterminds. They're creating their own masterminds.
Right.
And you're going to see this bubble pop pretty soon.
You can also just start reading all the books that they probably
That's
read.
what I'm saying.
I mean, this is also why I share the books that I read too, because this is kind of where the way our business model was is exactly what Justin said was we know that the paid wall and that's going to die. All that stuff is going to die. And so the theory was we're going to give so much valuable free content that as a byproduct, people will feel like they want to support us. And what do we do best? Well, we're known for programming. That's if we were to say if we're experts at anything, that's what we feel we're experts in is programming. So that's what we're going to deliver. We know that you can Google and get online and find a free program or a free workout. We're not stupid, but we know that by all the amount of information that we've provided for free, that a lot of people would end up doing that just as I feel like I owe you this money. To me, it's such a smarter business model for long term than trying to find ways that you can squeeze as much money out of your audience as possible. And that's something that I don't think we would ever do because of that, because the masterminds are like that. But
no, if we ever did one, it would be a way to do.
But
I
mean, if you want to learn this stuff, I'll tell you right now, read the books that I post. I have I still have Adam's Library hashtag where every book that I've read since we've started this business, I've posted. And I think the last time I looked at my ratio of because I like psychology and neuroscience and somewhat of self-help books every now and then, but a majority of what I read are business books. Almost everything that I read. I think it was a good 70% of the books that I'm reading are that. So, that's where all the information and knowledge comes from that really drives a lot of the things that we're doing business-wise. If you want to learn what, whoever it is that has a mastermind, find out what the fuck they're reading. Because I guarantee they're taking, if I were to run a mastermind group, it's exactly what I would do. I would take all the learned knowledge that I have from all these fucking books, and I would piece it together in an order that makes sense to present it on how I think people would receive it or best learn it. So if you, the shortcut would be not the shortcut, it would take longer because you have to read it. But the path is to read the books that they're reading and get the information for yourself for about a tenth of the price.
Less than a tenth. I know some of these masterminds are in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So with that, go to mindpumpfree.com and check out our guides. They're free, absolutely free. We have a bunch of guides that can help you. So the latest one that we just released is for personal trainers, how to become a successful personal trainer. In this guide, we talk about the sales process, the prospecting process, how to start your business, where you should end up. Check it out. We also have guides on how to squat better or more weight, how to lift for your shoulders, how to train your midsection. There's about 12 guides, mindpumpfree.com.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.